Chase,
Hmm.
how are we supposed to start this podcast? I'm creatively just I can't even speak. Creatively speaking, I'm drained. I'm tapped, Chief.
Oh, well, I'm pretty sure it goes like this. You say, hey, and I go,
Yep.
hey. And then you say it's a stupid joke, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then that's the intro.
You're a good friend. You make me
Yeah.
happy to be alive. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of What If, the show where we talk about canceled, geeky projects, whether it be TV, movie, video games, or, I don't know, maybe something else in the future if we run out of junk. But, I mean, at the rate that DC keeps announcing and canceling movies, we'll be here for a while. I am your host, Joseph Gallion, and with me, as always, is your co-host, Mr. Chase Gallion.
Hi.
Hello. Woo! If you want to follow the show, please follow us at Heroic Power ENT on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Follow me at Captain JSSG on Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. And follow Chase at Chase.Gallion1 on Instagram, Twitter at Gallion_Chase, and Snapchat at Chase.Gallion. Gallion spelled G-A-L-Y-E-A-N. You can find the show on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and SoundCloud. And believe it or not, I'm trying to put it on Stitcher and TuneIn, because I heard those are also really good places to put podcasts. So they've been submitted. I submitted them yesterday, and I haven't heard jack yet. So maybe they'll reject us, but considering we're on iTunes and Spotify, which are two of the biggest places for podcasts right now, I think we'll be on there eventually. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Lordy. All right, guys. So this month, what we are talking about is SpiderMan Classic, which is a video game that was canceled back in like 2009, I think. And it was a sequel to Spider-Man Web of Shadows. Now, Chase, have you ever played Spider-Man Web of Shadows?
No, but I have watched someone play through it.
That's fair. Honestly, it got mixed reviews, which sucks because that was a really fun game. A lot of people really kind of like slept on that game, but it was really good. Basically, the plot of the game was that, well, if people downstairs could stop being so loud, that'd be nice. But the plot of the game was that Spider-Man is having to protect New York City from a symbiote infestation. Like, it gets to the point where, like, Venom's symbiote has spread all over to the people, and it gets out of hand heckin' quick. And you get the choice to be a good person or a garbo person, depending upon how you feel with the symbiote. Like, you can choose the hero path or like the black suit symbiote path. It was a really cool and innovative game. It was kind of like Infamous. I don't know if you've ever played Infamous, Chase, but yeah, well, okay, you should. It's great. I have the first two. I haven't played the third one because I don't have a PS4. Oops. But I don't know. Everyone always talks about like the best Spider-Man games being like Spider-Man 2. And I agree that one's probably the best, but I think Ultimate Spider-Man on the GameCube and like PS2 and all that, as well as Web of Shadows, are up there as well. I just finished playing Ultimate Spider-Man through, again, story mode. And that one's really fun because you get to play as Venom, so it's freaking cool. But anyway, so in the game, you get to experience like a whole lot of extra Marvel stuff, like Black Widow's in it, Wolverine's in it, Kingpin's in it, a whole lot of cool stuff like that. Like Moon Knight shows up, all that jazz. But what happened was that they were planning on making a sequel to the game called SpiderMan Classic, right? So now to explain it a bit, SpiderMan Classic is this canceled sequel to Web of Shadows. And it was going to feature Spider-Man and Wolverine teaming up. So I think that means that you would be able to play as both Spider-Man and Wolverine. Whether or not it would be like a co-op game or if it was still single player but you got to switch between the two, I don't know, but I think that would be pretty cool. It's like this game that I've been like kind of like silently pitching to Chase of the Heroes for Hire game. I think that would be, I think games like that where you like are playing two different characters and playing together are really fun. It's like the canceled Avengers game that we talked about, where it was all first person and you played as different Avengers. I think that would have been a really fun, interesting co-op experience. But anyway, back to Spider-Man. So the main villains of it, at least what we can see from the concept art that's been released, was going to be Carnage and Mysterio. Now, did you ever play Shattered Dimensions, Chase?
No, but I also watched a playthrough of that.
I feel like you probably just watched me play through it.
No, I definitely watched someone else play.
Dude, you know what I just
Nobody
remembered?
Watching you.
No, I remember watching you play it because I brought it to your house so we could play it on your Wii.
Well, I do not remember that then.
That's fair. That's very fair.
Wow.
It was Grandma. I mean, I have to specifically say Grandma because nobody knows who Nanny is, but our grandmother, our shared grandmother, whomst we refer to as Nanny, she got it for me for one Christmas on the Wii, which is obviously the superior console. Well, it's what I had at the time, but and that was such a fun game, but it was really weird and linear. But the reason I bring it up is because the main villain of that game is Mysterio. So
Yes.
it seems to be kind of like what they did with Spider-Man 4, as well as like with Homecoming.
Mm-hmm.
See, like Spider-Man 4, they rumored to have Vulture and the Lizard in it, and then in the in the Amazing Spider-Man they had the Lizard, and then in Homecoming they finally put the Vulture in it. After like talking about it and talking about it and talking about it, we finally got these characters. It seems to be that maybe Beanox, which was the developer that took over the Spider-Man license from what was it, Sheba Games? One second, hold on. Yeah, Shaba Games. Sorry. Which was the company that developed Shattered Dimensions. It seems to be like usually what happens is they kind of take like maybe like small bits and pieces and pull it into their own game. Like even the design of Mysterio in Shattered Dimensions is very close to the design of Mysterio from the SpiderMan Classic concept art that I've got here. It's really interesting to see stuff like that. But so yeah, a Carnage and Venom, that would make a lot of sense for a sequel to Web of Shadows, because obviously the main villain of Web of Shadows was Venom, so it makes sense that like you would have Carnage play a big part in the next one. Now, unfortunately, it obviously was canceled, considering we're talking about it. It was canceled because Shaba Games, the studio behind the game, closed their doors in 2009, which led to all of their current video game projects being terminated, including Spider-Man Classic. Yeah, which stinks, but it shows how quickly Shattered Dimensions was put together, because 2010 is whenever Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions came out, and they must have gotten the handle in like 2009, which is amazing. It's amazing that game was as good as it was if it was only put together in just like a few years.
Right.
Like that's craziness. But either way, like crab muffins, what was I saying? But anyway, so the game was about Spider-Man, it was, goodness gracious, I just lost all of my flow. The game was set to have Spidey fans traveling through some of Spider-Man's most exciting classic villain fights from the comics, and it was going to be told in a more panel-by-panel faithfulness to the original comic, which is really interesting, but also sounds very different from Web of Shadows, because Web of Shadows was its own original story, but like this seems to be more of taking from a lot of the original comics, which is really cool, and maybe would have been more like Ultimate Spider-Man, which was a video game written by Brian Michael Bendis as kind of like an in-between if you will, for his comic series running at the time. And of course, this is before Peter died and Miles took over. It was still Peter.
Yeah.
And that was what's really cool about that game, is that it's in universe. It's canon to the comics.
Right.
So you got to play around in this little comic book universe for a little bit, which is really cool. But I don't know. That's really interesting. I wonder if it would have been like Ultimate Spider-Man, where all the cutscenes are told in like panels. Like there's a bit where Spider-Man gets hit by the Rhino and he like crashes through different comic panels. Like I think it's creative and weird and different. Kind of like 2003's Hulk, but we don't talk about that. Remember when people gave Ang Lee a superhero movie whenever he's... Ang Lee makes good movies. Made Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Well, yeah, that was him. Yeah. Yeah, he makes good movies, but he also made 2003 Hulk. Anyway.
There's some thorns in the roses.
There's not everyone has a perfect track record. Oh, yeah, okay, fair. Goodness gracious. But wait, was Mysterio? Yeah, I'm an idiot. I was about to ask if Carnage was in Ultimate Spider-Man, but he was in the not Ultimate Spider-Man, Shattered Dimensions. Because the way that Shattered Dimensions works, for those that don't know, is basically they took this idea of a Spider-Man game, but you got to play as 4 different Spider-Men. So basically, Into the Spider-Verse before Into the Spider-Verse was a thing. You got to play as normal Spider-Man. You got to play as Ultimate Spider-Man. And again, this is before Miles Morales, so it was just different Peter Parker. But he was in the black suit, just so you could have different gameplay. You got to play as Spider-Man Noir, which was basically Batman Arkham Light, and also Spider-Man 2099. Yeah. So it was a really cool game, but the way that it would work is it was not an open world game. It was completely linear, going through different levels and stuff like that, which was weird, but it worked for the game. Honestly, it was fine. Like, I missed having an open world New York, but considering you had to make 4 different New Yorks, I don't think that'd work very well, Chief. But that game would be chunky if they actually did that. Like, holy cow. But in the Ultimate Spider-Man playthrough, I think everyone had like 3 different villains, and I think Ultimate Spider-Man had Electro, Deadpool, and Carnage. And even the Carnage design for Ultimate Spider-Man it's similar to even the concept art of Carnage on here, which, to be fair, it's just Carnage. I mean, you don't...
Yeah, Carnage doesn't change too much from...
No, it's just Venom, but smaller and red and black. And it's just red and black lines all over. Like, he doesn't even have a symbol or anything like that, so... I mean, it's like, whatever. But, I don't know. It's interesting to think, maybe... The way that it was described, like, the way that SpiderMan Classic was described was that, you would go through different Spider-Man... like stories where you would fight classic villains and stuff like that, and that's exactly what Shattered Dimensions was, going through different stories and fighting different villains. Now, obviously it was different because you played as 4 different Spider-Man in like different time periods and universes, but it's interesting because, like, oh goodness, the amount of villains that you fought in that game was astounding. Like in Spider-Man Classic had, not the game, but normal 616 Spider-Man, I'll call it that. He fought Kraven, Sandman, and freaking someone else. I'm good at Juggernaut. That's who it was. It was Kraven, Sandman, and Juggernaut. Ultimate Spider-Man, like I said, fought Electro, Electro, Deadpool, and Carnage, Spider-Man Noir fought Hammerhead, Vulture, and the Goblin. And they called it the Goblin because in different universes, so spoopy. And then, oh goodness, what was 2099? It was Hobgoblin, Doctor Octopus, and one other person whomst I can not remember. I'm good at my job. Goodness, that's gonna drive me up the wall if I don't remember. But I mean, whatever. I don't know. It's interesting to see that kind of, I don't know, that idea, that storytelling method kind of carried over from SpiderMan Classic into Shattered Dimensions, you know? I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But that's, honestly, there's not much on this game. So that's
well,
about
seeing
all.
that the company was shut down,
Yeah.
like, as soon as they started this, makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it I don't know. And it stinks because this actually does sound like a fun game, and if it was in the same, like, with the same engine, same, like, whatever as Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, or not Shattered, Web of Shadows, I honestly would have kind of liked this. But hey, Chase, explain the classic question that we ask, but with video games instead of movies.
All right. So, usually we ask a certain question to each other at the end of these to determine if it's a yay or nay on this concept. So usually we do movies, or we have been for a while. So usually the question goes, if you woke up in an alternate dimension somewhere in a theater, and wouldn't you know it, the title card for a certain movie comes up that we have just talked about, and you get to see it. Just you. Just chilling. Do you walk out of the theater and go back home, or do you stay and watch? So, we will tailor it to video games. If you woke up in an alternate dimension in your bedroom, you'd probably be a bit confused at first to figure out that it's an alternate dimension because it looks exactly like your own bedroom, but this floor is the ceiling and the ceiling is the floor. That's the only change.
The only difference is that Peter Parker's dead and Miles Morales is Spider-Man.
Boom.
There you go.
But if you woke up and wouldn't you know
humor.
it, the menu screen for this game came up. Would you press start or would you power off? So Joseph,
Ooh,
would you press
you
start
did a
or would you
good job,
power off?
Chief. That was a good way of tailoring it to video games. Proud, you made your papa proud today. I think obviously personally, I think I would probably play the game. And of course, this does rule out like the whole thing of like what the heck is going on. I've never been here, whatever. Like if you woke up in a theater, but or in your own bedroom where you're playing a video game or something like that, and you being like, hold on, what is this? It's like if you just had access, would you try playing it? Yes, definitely. I think this had a high chance of being good, to be honest with you. Like, it stinks that the company went out of business and that even Web of Shadows got the reviews it did, because it got kind of mixed, mediocre reviews, even though it was a pretty solid game. Like, honestly, like, I don't know. Compared to, like, say, Spider-Man 3 that came out before it, like, come on, dude. How can you say that that's a bad game in comparison to, say, like, Spider-Man 3, which came out after Spider-Man 2, one of the best, like, one of the best Spider-Man games, period. Obviously, not as good as PS4 now, but, you know. This looked like it was going to be good. I don't know. What about you, Chase?
I mean, if it was fully developed, now obviously in its current state that it was in, you wouldn't have been able to play it at all. But, I mean, I feel like it had a good concept behind it. I mean, like, I like the fact that Wolverine's in there. Having them team up would be cool to see. But yeah, I'd play it. You know, why not?
Yes, sir. Well, I mean, that's about I mean, that's about it for What If this month, my mans. Okay, yeah, so obviously this is a month late. Or not a month, goodness lord. I meant a week late because I'm going to put this out on the following Wednesday because, I mean, it was 4th of July last week. So, anyway. Chase, what comes out in August? Is there anything coming out really in August?
I don't even know. Let me look it up. Movies coming out
Because I don't think we really have any big releases in August. It feels like the majority of everything got dumped in like July or June because I mean we don't. It doesn't seem like we really have any big nerd whatever movies or anything like that until, gosh, probably until October with Joker. I think that might be the next biggest like event that we could have for a tie-in.
We've got Dora.
Oh. Yeah, we'll talk about the canceled Dora the Explorer X Punisher crossover video game that they were totally making that I'm not making up on the spot right now.
Boom. They have Angry Birds. Hobbs and Shaw.
Oh no.
So yeah.
I think we can take this as a confirmation that we'll probably just have something random fun next month on What If. So, yeah. We'll let you be surprised by it when it comes out next month. So anyway, I guess for Heroic Power Entertainment, I'm Joseph Gallion.
And I'm a Bowman.
A Bowman?
A Bowman.
Noise.
Like a dignified way of saying that you're an archer.
Yes, a Bowman.
I'm a Bowman.
Huh. Oh yeah. All right. Bye.